batia 4 horas de manhã, 4 horas de tarde. Comecei a sentir que a bola fazia realmente uma curva de 2 metros, 2 metros e meio.
Welcome to another episode of Folha Seca. Today I'm thrilled to host Jacob Lennartsson, the CEO of Mjällby. Jacob, welcome to Folha Seca.
Thank you so much.
In 2016, Mjällby faced bankruptcy and was almost relegated to the fourth tier of Swedish football. By 2020, the club was back in the first division, and this year, for the first time in history, it won the Swedish League. You started playing here at 6 years old, served as a ballboy, were the under-19 head coach and academy director, and held different administrative roles. Then, in 2017, you coached Hällevik, promoting them to the Swedish fifth tier after winning the league. So my question for you is, what were the main lessons you took from your coaching experience?
Wow, thanks for the introduction. It's not many that lifts my win with my team Hällevik, but I think that I always have been a social human being that wants to be in different kind of groups in the community. I like to speak. I like to some kind of help the group that I'm in. I was a player and in Mjällby also, but not that good. And when I realized that we not became a pro player in football, I see that I have some kind of what I think leadership achievements that where I can like take my social part to be good in football, the understanding, and put that in a context when you lead people and the thing when you see other people success that you are responsible for them to success, it's for me a huge energy to have. So I think I learned when we are coached to not put yourself in the first room, put the players and the other staff. I think I take that when I go to Mjällby also, but and all, of course the most beautiful thing is how beautiful it feels to win something, win games, win trophies, but also win small aims in the days, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. Meanwhile, you transitioned to an off-the-pitch role. In early 2020, you became the club's communication and event manager, and this was a role covering networking and player events, as well as managing merchandising, while working extensively with the brand. To highlight the disparity between Mjällby and the wealthiest Swedish clubs, such as Malmo, for instance, you noted that while you handled multiple areas, Malmo, in this particular case, likely had several specialists for merchandising, communication, graphic design, management roles. What strategies do you use at the club to maximize efficiency despite your limited human resources?
Great question. First of all, I think it's good to have specialists in the club. The difference between Malmö and Mjällby that we cannot afford it. We cannot have that many people that work. We need to like work with roles that are a combination. But it's a big difference now regarding the 2021, 2022 when I have combined roles. Today we can have more specialists, but not that many people. I think to get, and that's maybe the most important task for me in my role in CEO today, is to all the employees have to maximum their performance every day, and my work is to give them what you say, give them the possibility to get that max every day. And first of all, that I love to talk, but it feels like I'm working in school. Is that you need to feel good, you need to have fun, you need to come to work every day and feel that I love this. I feel good. I don't go from Stamvallen and Hällevik with something in your stomach that you don't feel good. You come here with great feelings. That's the first. Of course, you need to educate them. You need to hire good and understand people. But the last thing I think it's really important is involve them in the club. Involve them when you put goal settings. Involve them when you have the newspaper here. Involve them all the time so they feel important because they are. But it's easy to highlight the players that are fantastic. You need to highlight everybody in Mjällby because I think that they will fight for this club even more. So that's a kind of leadership experience, of course, but you cannot you cannot make magic with the people. They have to be good. They have to have skills and they have to have possibility to create great stuff in their areas.
And how important, you were mentioning feeling good at the club. How important is it in your particular case at Mjällby to have passionate people? Because having not that many human resources, of course, you need to give that extra mile. So, how important it is for people to really wear the jersey of the club, and if you know what I mean.
It's good in two parts. The first part I already mentioned. It's like you will work a little bit more for the club. You will work a little bit more harder for the club if you feel passionate for the club and the batch. The second thing is that for me it's football and to go forward as a club so much to understand the game. And if you feel for the club, I think your decision making not only will become short part, you will always also take decision in the long part way for Mjällby because you feel for the club. You want this club to survive and feel good. So to create a passionate and some kind of local feeling from the employees, I think it's good in different ways.
Yeah, yeah. And in some of those roles that you've been having off the field at Mjällby, you had to drive your own development. However, in the summer of 2022, you stepped up to take on the strategic role of CEO, where challenges now came directly to you. Naturally, you are now responsible for all staff, providing them with security and support, which you view as your most important duty. You work with the board to define short and long term goals, of course, set and manage the budget, and continue building the club's brand. Given how clearly you enjoy influencing the organization alongside your team, because you already mentioned that you like to work with people and move things forward, what would you say would be the key attributes to succeed as the CEO of a football club?
I can take from my point of view to succeed in Mjällby. I think I come back to if I should say one thing, I think it's the understanding of the game, not understanding of the game as a game plan when you play games or they know their opportunity. Understand the game, what football are. How important is the local engagement? How important is it to take decisions that are short term and long term? What effect will some kind of decision you take have for the community, for the players, for the employees, for the supporters? How important is the supporters engagement for the club, and what can your decision making and your decision what direction the club will take have, what effect will that give in people? I think that's the most important thing, and that's also is my fault that I'm grow up in this club. I live for this club. I hope I work a lot with my brain and take good decisions, but I know that I work really, really much with my heart because I love Mjällby AIF. And I think that the understanding of the game make me feel that the decision making and what we are is good. I think that other clubs maybe need to take direction they don't want to because the pressure of the club from external factors is too big. I think we have it good in the way we rule Mjällby.
And also back in 2022, at some point you mentioned that as a CEO, you always have things to do. So then you must prioritize and assure to work efficiently. Like if you need to sum up how to do this, how to achieve this, like prioritize in the best way, work as efficient as possible. What would be your main recommendations?
Know if I should make some recommendation of this, because I think that this is my worst part. I think that I want to be there for everybody. I want to give help to everybody. I want to them to mm, I want them to feel that I am helping them and I'm in Mjällby all the time. I am not good to say no in that part. So, but in the when you go to like a red light, when it's too much to do and you feel like you have deadlines to bring, I think the classic white paper is the best advice. You need to fill up every task you have that needs to be done in the common weeks. You have to list them in a white paper, and then you have to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you need to go to the 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6. I think that's helping me a lot, because in the role that I have, you will never be finished. You will always have something to do. And if you also love the club, you will not always get tasks. You will search for tasks. And do you understand what I mean? That it's not that I am sitting and wait. You in some part also search the task because you want the club to go forward.
Let me come back to the good environment at the club. When you returned to Mjällby in 2020, you found a well run organization with skilled people and good conditions, even with one of the smallest budgets in the Allsvenskan, and strict cost control. And despite these natural financial constraints, you try to provide players and staff with the best possible environment, which you consider to be one of your unique selling points. Um, Also, one important thing now shifting to training sessions and to the sporting side, you do believe that this environment helps players prepare better than their opponents and improve their sporting performance. So, how have you been excelling at this? Because you consider that this is one of your unique selling points, and this is where you really excel, where you really are really good. So my question is, what do you exactly try to implement to make it a really good environment in the training sessions and
Lots of things, and I think that if I should talk to every part of that question, I think we will sit here to Christmas. But I think that Mjällby will not have the biggest budget in Allsvenskan ever. I think Mjällby will not have the biggest resources, the biggest revenue. We need to be better on every part of that, but we cannot be best in Allsvenskan on it. What we can be best in Allsvenskan is to create the best environment on and off the pitch. It's of course on the pitch how we have the quality of the coaches, how the coaches put demands in the players to be self-driven, to train the most and the best, to educate themselves, to like have some kind of responsibility to own feedback and so on and so on. I think that, but it also to have the best pitches, the best grass, the best food around the pit. We can go so much far to have the best conditions to have an environment when they will become better humans and better players. But don't stop there. I think it's dangerous to only put the players in that heart, because all the employees also need to be there. We sell a player. The first big player we sell was Noah Passon for 1.5 million euros in 2023. The first thing we do about that money was to take a little part to build the clubhouse so we can sit in new chairs, new floor, new what do you say, not carpet, but like in front of the window. So that was the first installment before we put new players in, because we know that you need to have an environment. The room that I'm sitting in now was built then, because we don't have any room that we can have meetings. And it could, in some part in football, you're not allowed to talk about that the players and the employees should have a good time, because the supporters say win the game on Saturday and shut up. And but I think that it's a big part and advantage we can have is that we feel that everybody loves to be here, and then we're going to make results on the pitch and off the pitch. And the other big thing of that is to create and behaviors to our identity. We have identity words like every club and every company. For us, it's loyalty, passion, and hard work. But if you stop there with some words, it's useless. You don't need to have it. So we put behaviors to every employees, what they should do in a regular day to show passion, to show loyalty, and to show hard work. So, for example, the players for a senior team needs to go to everybody when they come to breakfast and say hi and do a handshake. If the players do that, they show loyalty. If the players like say and clap for the fans after the game, every game, they show passion. So different kind of behaviors in if you work on marketing side, the school, the groundsman, to do every day to show the identity. And I also think that that's a good way to remain Mjällby for all the time and also create an environment that everybody loves to be.
Do you consider that, for instance, in the team spirit creation, which is something that doesn't require any money, right? It's more a cultural thing. Does this gives you a real competitive edge when, like, is this a proper distinction that you manage to implement when you see, like, against the other teams, and which kind of things do you add on a daily basis to make it possible this to improve this spirit?
The most important is what I said to create the behaviors, but it also, of course, when somebody steps out from that zone you want to be in, you need, of course, to don't accept that. But we also have in the players group and the dressing room, you also have some kind of rules and some kind of environments that the coaches fill in. And maybe the most important is that we have today 4 and 5 players that also been in the club for all time. They are 28 to 31 years old. They are like uh, idols and like what do you say when you come in the dressing room as a new player, you watch them and they are best to feel. If you have some kind of old player, star player that are lazy, that don't want to train, that thinks they are too good, the new 18-year-old guy from the academy will watch him and see, okay, this is the behavior you should be if you want to be the star. But if you have Jesper Gustafsson that have been in here the whole life, that are the captain, and he trained the most, he fight the most, he are like most humble. If the 18-year-old feels that, or the new player from another club, I think that you go into that zone immediately and put yourself in the line.
Yeah, from your day one, since the CEO of the club, your primary task was to maximize the employees, like your processes, to establish like meeting structures, to establish like a regular follow up on the goals of each department. So my given the work behind your recent historic results, which areas do you feel you help not only improving but also creating from scratch?
Think the environment for the sorry to tell you the 10th time in this interview, but I think the environment standard and how we can build out the office to make new office to like create an environment that everybody feels good. I think that is one of the main parts. I think also when I came 2022, I put a new strategy of recruiting players. We have a fantastic person, sport director Hasse Larsson, but he was kind of alone in that work. So we put Arvi Broson and some other scouts in that team to how we should recruit players. So the way we have a squad strategy and strategy group, sport group we build. I think it's also give a good, really good effect. And of course, we have today commercials rights and how we sell tickets, the strategy, how we sell our sponsorship. I think that also that was crucial that we get on paper, and I think we are really good in front of that. So the biggest effect maybe is by environment. The way we play. And you also feel it when you, I don't know what the name in English is, but when you like put some questions to all the employees that they should tell you how you feel. I think the results in that is really, really, really high today. We see that we sell players and we have a value for the squad that are really, really high, and we have also marketing side that's working all-time high every year. So maybe you see the best effect what I are responsible to.
Was there any particular area or any particular process you feel that it was important to be created since you stepped up to the CEO role that was in existence?
Yeah, so meetings from the employees and staff. We have before also weekly meeting with all the marketing side, but now we start to create monthly meeting with all the employees outside the pitch. When you like have some kind of education to each other, meet each other, have fun together, and also information from the group. We start to play communication channels, so all the information could go to everybody, so we know how to do. I think it was a little much like different parts in the company or the club before. The strategy, how we recruit players when we build it from like contracting length, we see age from from the players. We see what you say, that we will bring in players that don't play the first year, but maybe they play the second year and so on. So the strategy of that was also really, really important.
I know that you like to hear, your employees, your supporters, your members, and we will speak about that in a bit. But do you conduct any internal survey in the club to understand what can be improved? Like, do you put emphasis on that as well?
We have that. Then we have KPIs in almost everything, and the key point is that if you have KPIs 2025, the improvement here have to be that you have higher KPIs next year, and if you do that way, you be better. If you have 60 points the year one, and you need to have 61 points and succeed with that, you're better. So I think that's the most effective way to create an environment that always be better every year. And of course, that you do that evaluation not in December, the last day of the year. You do it frequently, so you can see in like April, May, we are in the wrong way and change something. So we also need to raise our hand when we feel that we don't do anything, we don't do this good enough, and change direction or put other resources on it. So yeah.
Yeah. Before stepping up to CEO, while you were sending standard welcome letters to opponents, Malmo impressed you by proactively requesting items like ice, massage tables, and bikes 2 weeks in advance. Similarly, Hammarby surprised you by setting up an inflatable pool in the dressing room. How important is it for Mjällby to learn from other clubs' best practices?
Really good, really important. We will not, I hope we will not fill up our dressing room with a pool, but I think it's really important that we see what other clubs do. But the most important is to not think that you can see what other clubs do and take it directly to your club. You need to have a big filter when you say, okay, this is the way Sirius do, but how is the way to do it in the best in Mjällby? Because if you do the same way the Sirius or Malmö, Hammarby or FC Köpenhamn do, 100% will not fit your club because it's so many other aspects around. So you in the end of the day, you need to do it the best way you feel it fits Mjällby AIF, but you can of course have influence, and that's kind of important when you want to become better every year.
Clubs, as we know, naturally they run into problems when they come to Strandvallen because of the stadium's facility size that aren't extremely large. My question for you is it also a competitive edge, like the fact that you are taking those clubs out of their comfortable zone?
Yeah, that's a great feeling. I love that. Of course, I think that I don't know how big impact it is. You have to ask the opponent, but of course it's better to have opponents that don't want to go to Stamvallen. If you compare to the other options where they love to come to Stamvallen, I think that they're not like to. In the main thing that they doesn't like it is that we are good in playing football, so they have hard to beat us. But of course, if you create a legacy and a thing that you think that is not nice to go to Strandvallen, and I think it's of course good. But to be honest, we love to be the best host. Last year we get the prize that said that we will have the best hosting in all Allsvenskan because we have great staff and familiar staff and helpful staff. So we want them to come here and give us 10 points to the experience, but 0 points in the league. So that's a good summarizing.
You attribute Mjällby's elite status and ability to sell players to a unique culture, the same never give up spirit that drove the club to the first division back in 1980, a cup final in 2023, or now to win the title. By combining that spirit with skilled, humble people, results follow. Can you guide us through your recruitment process for staff and volunteers, and maybe also explaining how you ensure that never give up mentality remains the club's identity?
I think the recruitment staff, I think we go first of all that we need to have people that can do their task. We need to have skillful people because you cannot make magic on them. But a big, big, big thing is that you need to look at the personality. And if you don't talk now about recruiting players, you talk about recruiting employees and the people that are volunteers. It's so important that they are the right person because you have if I think that our head coach Carl says that you cannot we will not we don't want to have assholes as player and no assholes in the coaching staff, and of course that's also in the other thing. We want to have people that wants to be here, that are good hearted and wants to bring some kind of love and quality in Mjällby. So the recruitment part is it's much when we see the human and take reference for the human. But we also are kind of unique that we have 120 people that are volunteers for the games. That's in the merchandise store when you sell foods in the ticket boxes. You all have volunteers that are here for free. So I think that's telling us the most that it's they are not here to become famous. They are here to help the club that they love.
One thing, Jacob, of course, leaving volunteers aside, what we see usually in football clubs is that there is a huge difference between what players earn and what the remaining staff earns, right? Like if you work in the marketing department, commercial, yeah, and so on. So, is this a concern of yours to try to make it, I'm not saying, of course, equal conditions, but to try to make it a bit more balanced than the other clubs, or you just assume it is the way it is and players should receive much more?
I think that you should receive money that we can afford and what the club can manage, and that's in the also the very important line that we want the employees to feel that they are getting paid for the extremely hard work and good work they do. I don't want to talk specially, but I also want to put a little bit difference about the players and the staff. Uh, the players have contract that are based on year basis. The most of the staff are contracts that are like full time and it go on every year. So it's a little bit. worst thing for the players that they could after their contract go say bye bye and then they leave. The employees have a little more safety and biggest rights. But I think that today we have one of the lowest budget in Allsvenskan. I think it's not that kind of big what do you say difference between the salaries in the players and the employees. But I think that you have some kind of also marketing to look at it, to look into it when you put salaries.
Yeah. And when we were mentioning before the way you manage to receive your opponents and that you are really good welcomers, let's say, uh, do you have like people also responsible for player care within the club? Is this an area you explore?
Yeah, we have a players manager in the senior team, and that's are working with the players when the new players when they come to fix them apartment to go to the bank if they are coming from abroad. They are he's fantastic, Patrick, that work with the player all the time and help them. So yes, that's the player care. We also have volunteers for academy players that help them with transporting them from school to the soccer pitch when they were trained. So yeah, we of course the main part that they will feel good. We also need to have employees that work with it.
Yeah. And to maintain your position in Swedish football, you rely on a 3 year strategic plan, analyzing everything from how to earn more points in the league, how to improve player sales, growing attendance, stadium attendance, of course, while safeguarding finances. You've mentioned that every department tracks around eight specific goals monthly, alongside, of course, targeting sporting KPIs, like average squad age, playing a specific number of young players. My question for you is if you could summarize your main short and long term goals that you currently have defined as a club.
The short term is kind of easy. The biggest goal we want to have a club that are in economically stable. We want to play in the highest league. We want to create players from the academy and coaches from the academy in a senior team. We want to create an environment that educate and sell players, and we want to have a big responsibility in the community, Sölvesborg and Blekinge, with our brand and our efforts. That's the biggest goal from the club. After that, we have some performance goals how you can like KPI when you can reach them and you can say that we are good or not good. And the last thing that you start to talk about is our processing goal when you put KPIs in communication, in youth, in academy, and in the ground, in the senior team, in events. So in every part, you have 8 to 10 KPIs that you can reach every month, and we think that if you reach them every month, we will in the end have the result goals with playing in Allsvenskan and the other thing in okay. So that's a short summarizing of our for goals.
And in 2023, Mjällby had the clear objective of remaining in the Allsvenskan, which is, of course, the most important thing. You stated back then that you'd likely accept finishing 10th for 10 years in a row, despite wanting, of course, to finish as high as possible. And alongside this, you set a goal to have 40% of the senior squad composed of regional or club trained players, as you aim to be the region's club and contribute to society, which is why you've been so actively involved in community initiatives recently. How would you assess the progress made towards these kind of objectives, and how do you see them developing in the near future?
Yeah, it was a big not success. I told you that I told them that we want to be 10 years in a row, but we get 9, 10, 10, 5, and first one. So that's a big disappointment, of course. Uh, no. To be honest, I think that we have been good to reaching the goals. We also are good that you need to every year have that kind of dynamic Of course, we today are in another spot with our team when economically where we are at the club. So we cannot, of course, be happy to get on the 10th place in the table. But the symbol of that was uh, Mjällby being Allsvenskan is so important for us to do other things. It gets so much more better education for our players, for youth players, so much more better for the so to suppose multiplicity. So it's crucial that we play in the highest league. But the other things, I think that we are from 2020 and 2022 always be better, and our goal settings that you are reading up then, I think we have take a huge step on that, and today we have even more higher aims to reach.
In terms of, for instance, launching, let's say, new players, because we will also speak about that, but in a while. But are you also considering, when we think about next season, for instance, do you have like any particular number, predefined number of players you want to launch, let's say, to promote the first team, or not so much?
Yeah, of course. We have like meetings every week about players that we want to put up. We have today under 19 team, under 17, and under 16 team that are younger than ever. We have younger players in under 19 team, not so many 19-year-old players, so they are younger. We think that that's a way to put up more players. But today you have Romeo Leandersson that plays from many games from the start, that are 70-year-old, play for a national team that will be really, really good. We have Ludwig Tistrand that is 21 years old that have scored, I think, 2 goals and 2 assists this year and put the role. We have players in the national teams in for Sweden that have never been so much. So that, but it also, we need to be fair. It's maybe the hardest time ever to become a senior player from Mjällby, because we are the best in Sweden. So it was better. It was some kind of better to for 5 years ago to come up to the senior team. Today it's really hard, but if you reach that level, you will get a really good education and you will have became a fantastic player. So it's not a problem, but it's a task they need to challenge the academy player.
Yeah. Uh, this starts quite early with a unique strategy from ages 6 to 12. It's purely grassroots. So you open to anyone with around 15 players per age with no external recruitment, simply to assure you do have local opponents to play against. Then from 13 to 19, you offer both academy and grassroots football, inviting the best 16 players in each age to the academy. Since you're the only elite club in the area attracting these talents, can you guide us through your medium term strategy and explain how crucial it is to encourage local clubs, to develop players for your region's club concept?
Really, really important, because if we take every player, you will not have a team to face. So that's why we don't want them to come to Mjällby before they are 13. We said no, and I think that we have so much experience, we have so much quality in our staff in the academy. So if we can help other clubs in the region to educate their players, it's really good for them, it's really good for their players, but it's also really good for us. Because in the end we want them to become Mjällby players. So it's a kind of cheap thing to educate the region and educate other clubs, that all three parts will feel good with. So and of course we want them to feel Mjällby as a nice loyalty dog, not a big angry wolf. That's not our aim for the club.
I believe that lots of clubs, they say that, yeah, we want also to educate players as humans and so on and so forth. But then it doesn't translate to practical measures, which I don't feel is the case of Mjällby. I think that you are really convinced of how important it is to make this. So How do you translate these to proper measures to educate also youth players and eventually senior team level players, not only as train them as players, but also educate them as persons?
Well, the dressing room is the best thing to educate. If you create an environment in the dressing room when they take responsibility, when they are understanding that their father and mother not are there, and they have to take other own responsibility and feel a growth about it. It's really important. I think that we can educate them in different kind of ways in the teaching room. We also have a kind of control of the schools here, that we have the same school coaches that are here in the night with the academy. So I think that's also is a important and good thing. But that, of course, we need them to understand that the biggest, it's kind of cliche to say it, but the biggest enemy is their own, because if they feel like they can do whatever they want here, if they feel like I'm playing in the Mjällby academy, I'm the star of the whole region, they are off. They cannot do it. They will not educate themselves as a human being. So I think that the humbleness is so important, and I think that the environment will create it, but of course also that we talk about we get them behaviors that they should do, and we also said no when they go in the wrong way and help them. So supporting and teaching is of course important there also.
And of course, reaching your youth goal relies on a sharp academy, as we know. So, to achieve these kind of goals, you invest heavily in recruiting and educated, also skilled coaches. You give them daily feedback to ensure they follow the club's yellowback thread philosophy while building ambitious teams. Beyond just recruitment and training, what specific aspects does the club identify as truly key to developing young athletes to their maximum potential?
I think that this is a great question to our Herman Ottosson, our education manager. I think that this is his best role, but I know that he wants the first thing, I think, is to educate the coaches, because it's important for Mjällby to educate the 300 academy youth players and the senior players. We as a club need to educate the coaches, and I know that Herman are so skillful on that, and how much he create groups, he create meetings, he create and rooms where we can talk about that and teach each other. And I think that's maybe the most important thing, that we create an environment that also are teaching in the academy and the youth, that the coaches can teach themselves, and of course influence from other thing, regular education and feedback thing, that we always become better. But you need to, as a coach in academy, you need to educate yourself, because you will educate so many other players and important people in the club.
Regarding the senior level, Mjällby's recruitment strategy focuses on the Nordics. Although you claim it's an advantage to recruit from Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and so on, you also admit that now many more Allsvenskan teams are scouting the same region, so you need to start looking elsewhere. Which geographical areas are you considering exploring further in the coming years?
We like to stay in Scandinavia as long as we can, because I think the culture is more easy to become a Mjällby player and play in Sweden, of course, and we don't are unique there. We are now in a project in Africa, because we have some African players here recently that are we think like have really good impact in our club and feel good here. So that's another part. If I go totally 100% of my own, because this is not for the club, I love the players from Japan. And I said that once when we play in Europe, and when our revenue is of over 100 millions, and when we have a player from Japan, I will quit. So now we play in Europe and have a revenue under 100. So if the sport director brings in a player from Japan, I'm done. But because I think that their market, their players is so fantastic combination between loyalty and technique. They have the loyalty as the Scandinavian players, but they also have the technique as the Spanish players. So I think that Japan will be really good in the coming years. But of course, they are not the cheapest one. They are good.
I'm totally with you. I also love the Japanese player. But what do you exactly mean by loyalty?
Loyalty that they are so tech. First of all, they do what the group do. I think that that's a really if they are not playing by their own, they're playing as a team, but they are also really good tactical.
Yeah. And although many people help me, Albi, as we've been speaking, now I would like to briefly focus on Hasse Larsson, your sporting director you just mentioned. Uh, even though everyone is really important for the club, of course, you would put Hasse among the club's five most crucial figures. As you say, like he operates in an old-fashioned way, like relying on a trusted network rather than computers or scouting software. Yet, you consider his ability to assess a player's technical and psychological fit for Mjällby to be his greatest skill. A perfect example of these connections is the arrival of Abdullah Mane, also following what you were mentioning about African players. Would you like to tell the story?
When money come here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Hasses network that we have a former coach in Kristianstad that are 3 miles from here that then was in Varberg in Allsvenskan and then goes to Horsens in Denmark. And they have a have a big cooperation with Gambia. So they get money from trial and but I think it was kind of the recruitment team. I think maybe they are from USA because I think they are some kind of cooperation with the USA American company. They said that this place isn't good enough. And I think Yuki, that was the manager in Horsens then, we need to have him. He's so good. But they said no, they don't think it was good enough. So Yuki called Hasse and say, you need to have this in trial. I promise you, it's the best player I've ever seen in training. And then we take him here and it took 2 days and then we said wow, what a player, and then we signed him. So it was of course Yuki's and Hasse's friendship and connection that brings money to Mjällby.
Of course, it's not every day that you will find these kind of opportunities, but yet it really shows you the power of having a good network of people in football, right?
Yeah, of course, and then be humble. I think that Hasse sometimes have played here that are, we don't think fits in here, and of course that's good for us if we recommend them to clubs and help the other clubs. So yeah.
Yeah. And Mjällby seems like a family club with everyone doing a bit of everything. So, on one hand, how important is it to have passionate professionals like yourself? Like, if you would add any other aspects than the others that we've been speaking about, and also like because it's important to mention something that maybe people don't know, but you have a really deep connection with the club, and your grandfather was responsible for the design of the club's crest, right? Like not the current version, but one of the previous ones. And just alongside this first part of the question, I would also like to ask you how important it is to keep having players, as you already mentioned, experienced players that are like a really club icons, that have been trained in the club and that know the club for a long time ago.
The short answer on that question is really, really, really important. I think that it's one of our unique selling points if you compare to other clubs that we have that kind of players and not only that kind of players. You can, of course, talk in my role and the sport direction role, but also the chairman's role and now the manager last year. Everybody is from here, and I think that that's our really good. And when you want to build a club that are good in long term. So really good, really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. And how important is it also to try, because as I was mentioning, you are a really family club. So how important it is to try and get that outside perspective? Because what I mean is, of course, when like when people work for a club, they are involved, right, in the club daily life. But how do you try to keep track with this thinking outside of the box, and just having a more outside perspective, if you mind?
I understand. I think that good question. I think that the most important thing is not to go outside the box. It's for me. It's not. You need to do it to great success. I think that the most important is to find the way that you want to work, to get everyone to work on that way. I think that the effect of that is so big, so you can afford to take 2, 3, 4 steps wrong. So don't start to like talk to go outside the box. Be in the box when you need to feel some kind of room for development, and when you feel that the club or the company needs to take other steps and good steps. Okay, you need to have a great and big analysis of that. We do that for 2 years ago when we changed our way to play. We play before in a well, in a way that you see us running the most, jumping in front of their own goal to avoid the opponents to score, to not let to let in goals as low as possible, and so on. So defensively KPIs, and we changed that to be a more offensive team, and that was to go out in our comfort zone and feel influence from other people. But it was also a big analyze behind that, to not drop the other things that are your best part and your identity. So don't start to go outside the box. Be in the box until you're ready to take some kind of step outside of it.
And also, you also already mentioned that if a company arrives with you, yeah, 20 million euros to buy and to have their name on your crest, it would need to be really something that could allow you and that could assure that the sustainability of the club for the next 30 or 50 or years or so on. So my simple question is how to find that balance between just admit that the world is now global and that you need to find commercial opportunities and so on, but just to stay true to your roots and your origins.
Always do the best for the club. That's the like main part when you make a decision making. If it's better to sell, sorry to say, if it's better for you to sell Strandvallen's name, because we need to have 2 millions every year more to create sport result and good education and so on and so on. Yeah, you need it, but you also need to, in that decision, you need to talk about the culture. You need to talk about the supporters' reaction. You need to talk about the members. You need to talk about our brand, and maybe when in the end of that summarizing you said, okay, 2 millions is really important, but the other thing is more important, so don't do it. So that we bring in more money in Mjällby on daily basis is the most important thing that we need to go in front of every day and forward every day. But in some questions it's also about other parts that you cannot buy. So you need to evaluate it very clearly.
And how did the young ball boy Jacob Lennartsson overcome the fact that the refusal of Zlatan Ibrahimovic to give you his jersey?
It was not only, I think it was not yours, it was an
The
autograph. I
autograph, sorry,
talked,
the
yeah, I
autograph. Yeah.
talked to him off with the game to get him autograph, but he said no when I was ball boy. So I think that I haven't never talked to Zlatan. Maybe I get the chance soon, but I think I can sleep again at the nights to not get autograph, but maybe sometime.
And you see player sales as being very important in the long run for Mjällby. Since the club struggles to compete on revenue, you are certain that surviving in the Allsvenskan over time requires selling players. Doing so for significant sums means the future looks bright, of course, as that value can be reinvested in the squad, the academy, and off the pitch. How important is it to balance this with long-term contracts to create stability at some time?
That's the key point when we discuss selling players and make performance on the pitch. We want to be better every day on the pitch, but we need to sell players to refound it in the club and be better. But it's not easy. But you need to let the player go in the right time. You need to get new players in before the other players left. You need to have long contracts so you have a possibility to like. Renew the squad in correct time. But as this far, we has always be better when we sell players. We let Niklas Reuker and Jacob Kielrich this summer. We create more points after that. The year after we drop two of our central defenders. We'll be better after that. So I think it's strange that we have put on a great environment and good coaches and great players that are still here, so new players can come in and start from not to start from zero. But of course, that's the main questions when you talk to selling players and do result.
And of course, that this sales strategy involves training players in your academy. For instance, youngster Ole Nilsson, Love, and Romeo Leandersson made their debut in the season just finished, which you see as important for the club's identity. You want young players to believe they can progress through your system, become senior players, and step onto the big stage. Have you defined a specific number of seasons to keep a talented youngster before selling them? Or are you open to selling after just a couple of matches if the opportunity arises?
Yeah, good question. No, we don't have any like numbers that we said that we want them to sell after this year. But of course, you can see that if you sell a player with a contract under 2 years, the money go down. So of course, in the best way, we want to sell young players and give them chance in the squad and sell them before they have 2 years off on the contract. But it doesn't mean that we need to do it. So most important is for us to focus on educate the players, but you cannot only educate them in training. You need to give them the chance in game and play the right games and play the right players in the game. So and after that, I think the marketing is working like that. If you play a young player uh, enough minutes in Allsvenskan, the scouts will sit in the stands and you will get offers. So we don't need to do that work. We need to educate the players and give them time on the pitch.
Is it part of your strategy to include, to try and always include a sell on clause so that you can assure if this player is then resold, you can still earn a bit more money or not?
Yeah, of course we want. We want to invest so when we put them in other clubs that we get a part when we sell them to the third club there. Yes.
Yeah. And you believe the academy can still improve, although you provide it with good conditions. After selling Noah Person, as you mentioned before, you funded youth tournaments, for instance, but you admit that you could have introduced more scouting initiatives. The club's mentality dictates that transfer revenue must benefit the whole club. You also spoke a bit about it, so you can reinvest in the squad, but also in the academy, in your facilities, also saving some for reserves. Once you mentioned a kind of a possible 1/3 split between squad, academy, and facilities and reserves saving. Is there currently a defined strategy for distributing these kind of revenue?
Well, yeah, but we have a little bit more on the. It's not about the academy. We have some kind of if you sell a players, you have one part that go into the savings in the long term. You have one part that go into like bringing a new player in, and then you have the last 10% of the selling that go into a project where we see get effects in 2 year in front of us. So you can like okay, we sell a player for 10 million. We have 1 million now to, it's kroner, so it's 100,000 euro. You have 100,000 euros that you will put in the organization in some way, maybe the academy, to have a new goalkeeper coach for 2 years, an extra coach. So you need to put them in that money in some kind of project that we think will push this club in front in the coming 2 years. So that three-part thing is important.
Yeah, yeah. And a club's brand, of course, as we know, it also helps adding value to a player. You say that if Malmo sells a player, even if the quality of this player is similar for when compared with your own player, the price will significantly be higher. And this is again partly due to brand power. Though you are closing that gap by strengthening your own brand. This highlights the advantages of being a highly valued brand and makes it worth asking a bit again, like if how do you detach the brand value from sporting results as much as possible?
Course, I think that's the most important thing that you do sport result, and you see that now when we win the campaign and do what we do, the whole world is writing to us. But it's also our behaviors in when we come here, when we do things, how we communicate. The brand you can always like be some kind of part of, and the brand is of course putting the price for our players up, but they also but the when new players will come in, they want to come here more likely. When new employees are here, they want to work here for a longer time and are more employer branding proud to be here. So the brand is like the heart of the whole club, and that we always want to feel good at.
When you build your squad, your first priority is performing in the Allsvenskan, as we already mentioned, followed by developing players to sell. A few years ago, you set a squad strategy that heavily involved coaches and scouting, and the arrival of chief scout Arvid Fransen last year seems to have strengthened your long-term planning even further. So, what are the key aspects to ensuring process efficiency and defining your staffing needs? Since you confess to sometimes feeling that you are a bit understaffed, and how do you foresee these resources growing in the near future?
Of course, priority is the main thing, that when you take in new staff and do some kind of investment in the organizations, you need to feel that okay, why we do this. If we put in Arvid Franzén in an organization, why we do this? Of course, we want him to be here because he scout players that we can help us win games and then sell on. But that's also a priority thing in the whole club. I think that everybody here can raise the hand and say, okay, I want to have one more colleague. I think I need one more colleague, because if I get this colleague, I can do this, I can do that. So that's really important. But I think that the understanding from the other staff is crucial here, that they need to understand why we cannot do it. But also when we put new persons in Mjällby to motivate that to everybody, that this is the reason that we put Arvid in Mjällby for now. So I think that we will always be a under organization in that way, but we also today are bigger organization than ever, and that's a but we do it with control, and I think that's a sign that we are going forward.
It's always on an ad hoc basis, right? You don't have any estimation of how many people you could add to the organization in the next 1 or 2 years.
No, no.
Yeah, yeah. And the historic title of yours was driven by your coaching staff, of course. Head coach Anders Torstensson, with his deep institutional knowledge, spending more than 11 years across multiple spells at the club, and his assistant and successor, Carl Marius Axum, known for his specialized work on visual perception and scanning, and widely acknowledged to have transformed the team's attack. To what extent do you attribute the league title to the specific synergy between Anders' experience and Carl's modern expertise?
I think we have a great coaching staff. We need to mention a really important person also in Christoph Augustsson that was the assistant coach with Carl that today are in Ludogorets in Bulgaria and work. But I think that the synergy when we put coaching staff is really important. Hasse Larsson have the responsibility to create that coaching staff, and we see that the coaching the Carl, that are the head coach, don't need to have everything, but the coaching staff need to have everything. So if Carl doesn't have some kind of experience or some kind of personality thing, you need to fill up that thing with from the assistant coach or from somebody else in the coaching staff. That's really important. I think that we are under one of the best thing about Anders is that he's really good to see other people and to lift them in front and let them work because he feel like, okay, you are better on that than me. So I think that's is a great thing to have in a coaching staff, that you are not feeling that I need to do everything. But we need to together do everything, and that's important.
It's pretty interesting because you've just posted a job online advertising on LinkedIn to for an assistant coach now for Axum, and I believe Axum was also got the job through LinkedIn, over 80 applicants. How do we see you see this? Because it's not that often that you have clubs recruiting for this specific position. So do you think this shows your professionalism, like the way that you want to do things, or?
That's a proof that we don't do what how everybody else do. We do what we think is the best for Mjällby. I think that we are now searching two assistant coach that we want to have one from like what do you say prospects that we are headhunting, and one from a base that are came on outside. And we think we get Karl Marius because we are hiring on LinkedIn, and I think we think that now we have over 300 that are applied for this job. So I think that you can go through them and see and find really interesting people that you don't thought about before. So I don't see any bad things to recruit from the whole world, and to find the best for Mjällby AIF.
Yeah, otherwise I would say it's the other way around. I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. I think also that.
And of course, football is such an intense and all-consuming industry, and it's increasingly difficult to keep the same head coach for several years. Does Torstensen's, I still struggle in saying his name, recent transition to technical director reflect that? Like, my question is this also some way the club found to avoid complacency and proactively ensure the club keeps raising the bar?
Of course, we have a thing when we come out from this season that we have some kind of key persons. Carl was one of them. Anders was one of them. We also see a biggest demand for us as a club when we grow. We will go out to Europe. So I think also we need to have some kind of more quality outside the pitch when we work on our strategy and that we're on the right course. So of course, when we put Anders in that new role that are really important and put under Carl, it was a statement for us that we want these two people to be in Mjällby in long term. So important change. It will be a little bit shaky with that because we take it a little bit around, but I think it's the best for Mjällby in the long term run.
Considering your experience on this point, like what is your view on coaches spending a long spell in the club? Because again, football is so intense, like match and match and match and media and fans and so on. So do you think that, how do you see the possibility of still nailing to get a good balance with players and in the dynamics, or the way you see it is more from time to time you need a change because otherwise it's tough to keep up?
To change the coach.
Yeah.
I think that you cannot build a club successfully that are like you need to have the coach a significant coach here. You need to build your way to playing our big like the box how we play, the environment. You need to build that from the club and from the boarding side. If you take a coach from here, you need to have the same identity and have the same Mjällby AIF. I don't believe that you need to change out the coach because of long term. You need maybe to change the coach, or the coach need to be another way if he drop for energy and if he drop for motivation. But I think that's the same in every work in the whole world, that you should not be in a spot if you don't like it and have motivated to be there.
So, in other words, do you think that with the right conditions, a coach could spend as head coach of Mjällby, like could be a kind of Alex Ferguson style, could stay like for 20 years do you think this is possible or not?
It's good for the coach, it's good for Mjällby, and everybody believes that it's the best, of course.
Okay. And you personally revolutionized the club's media with a high frequency approach closer to a Premier League side than a typical Swedish team when you were in charge of social media. However, you've also said you don't want people to take you too seriously. You want to keep the authentic farmers and fishermen spirit of Hällevik. How do you strike the balance between high end professionalism and maintaining the small club charm?
Really good question. I think this is one of our most important things when we communicate. We like to put the expectation of Mjällby quite low. We like to feel that we are fishermen and that we are farmers. But when the opponents come here, they realize that we are really good at football. Because I think when the difference between expectation and output, what it really is, if that will be in a positive way, far away from the expectation, I think it's really good for our brand and how we develop the club. So, and of course, we need to think, because I understand the other side of the coin, that if you only put humor and the funny side, it can be unprofessional. But I think that's a kind of a strategy we always need to develop and think about. And I think we have done it with a really good way this far.
Yeah. And following a board motion for transparency a couple of years ago, Mjällby has opened up. Most training sessions are public. Anyone can contact you directly, and you host a popular annual meeting for members and supporters. Ultimately, you value concrete, forward thinking options from employees, supporters, and volunteers. Can you walk us through how you filter and prioritize these interactions?
I think that it's to create a transparency do you say it, transparent in the club, that we need to be open, we need to talk about the members, we need to feel them involved. I think that we have something really good when we the effect when we go up and we do good things. I think it will be even better when they are feeling involved. I think it's the other way around. If we don't go good as a club, that they are a little bit more understanding, and that the fall is not that deep. So for us, it's important that we are creating a familiar feeling, that we are creating an open environment for everybody here. But of course, you get to a limit when you need to close trainings. You need to be your own. You need to be professional to win the game. But in the biggest way we can, we want to have the other picture of Mjällby clear.
But do you like annually, if not every training sessions, do you have specific training sessions here and there for them to be public?
Every Today, this year we have that if we train 4 times, the first 6 times, the first 4 times was open, so everybody can come there. Everybody can sit at the training, take autograph, talk to the players. And the last two game trainings before the game, we have closed.
Okay. 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 Nice. Nice. And what about the prioritization? Like, I imagine you receive, lots of feedback from supporters, or probably not just a couple of them. So, how do you prioritize what is most important, what you can handle, what you can change?
In the whole club, what we can
Yeah. Yeah.
change
Yeah.
in the whole club.
Yeah.
Wow, big questions. I don't think that I can say something that we need to change, because that's like the better question is what we need to focus on, because we have already changed it then. So for us, we need to. Uh, the easy is that, okay, we need to bring in more money in Mjällby AIF because we want to survive, but the even more important thing is to like have our identity and our uh, brand in the central part. So you can never like be in a club that's only focused on money, or shame thing and invest thing in change club. We always we need to and wants to be Mjällby and create our identity. So I think that's our biggest challenge, because we have grown a lot the last year. We are still a small club in Sweden, but we in the brand and all, everybody talk to us, but keep the identity and keep your nice feet on the ground. That's the most important thing we need to work at.
Yeah, I was also trying to understand, like, if a supporter comes and knocks on your door and gives you his thoughts, what's the process looking like? Like, is there any particular workflow in which you try to consider that feedback and evaluate it, or not much, or is like a bit freestyle?
So if there are some kind of feedback that are concrete and some kind of what you say, we can do something about it. It doesn't help me if somebody knock on the door and said you play awful yesterday, come on, because that's we don't know. But if they come with tips and try to do this, we always discuss it, and we say thank you for your help, because that's really important. They have a big sign from the stands that are important, and what I can assume everybody that email us and come to us in the city is that we take it seriously, and always try to be make Mjällby better.
One particular digital project you created was Inside Mjällby, in which you also show images from the dressing room and so on. How important, I mean, is an example, of course, it's not that this is your main project at the club, I believe, but how important it is for you, it has been to show the club its roots, like the club from the inside, and what's the feedback you received from your members and supporters?
We try it costs us much of time, so we have a problem last recent year to get inside Mjällby in the way we want. But it's good with inside Mjällby to get a transparency from the fans, that they show behind the scenes and behind the camera. They feel a little bit more like we are a bit of this club, and we know what they do. So I think it's really good for our brand. It's really good for our identity, and it's really good for the fans to like show more commitment to Mjällby AIF.
Yeah. And despite financial stability and sporting success at both academy and senior level, you admit the organization isn't quite built for this level of success, which has led to some growing pains. Stadium attendance, merchandising demand, they all have spiked in a very short time. And you admit you struggled to keep up with delivery times. You also changed providers, for instance. When you say the organization isn't built for its current success, is that a strict structural limitation requiring external investment, or is it a challenge that you can try and solve internally?
We solve it internally, because it was like we go from the last summer that and some talk to us, to everybody talk to us, to get for 3,500 at the stands, to get full house every game, to fill out the stadium one times in every year, to fill out the stadium in 12 minutes. So and we sell merchandise for from 100 to 1,000 euro to 350,000 euro in 1 year. So it was a really big step for us to go on that, and you need to have people to work with it, and we don't have people that's many we want. So we take in some in shorter periods. We try to get every employees to have the extra resources, and of course now our work is to find how will 2026 be, because I don't think that we can take so many employees new in and think that this will be the always be like that. So but of course it's about to have resources and competence from the people that works here.
Hällevik, in which Mjällby is located, has a population of around 1,500 inhabitants, and Strandvallen holds only 6,000 seats, one of the league's lowest stadium capacities. Yet, even excluding this title winning season, attendance has grown by 4 to 7% annually in the last couple of years. We know crowds usually follow sporting results, but again, just to insist, just to check if you have like any further feedback on this. What specific work are you doing to decouple attendance figures from on-pitch performance as much as possible, and to try, of course, and ensure people come regardless of the score, even if you have like a decrease in your performance?
First of all, it's only living 800 people actually in Hällevik. If you come up to 1,500, you need to take some of the village around. So Hällevik is actually, I think, 800, 840. The other thing you said is correct. Today we increased really much this year in the audience, but of course you can point on a sportly result. The other year we have go slowly up every year, and I think that's a way of our brand have raised. We know that if we take the people to Strandvallen, they want to come back, and that's important. So we are working much our communication thing, and also the strategy how we sell tickets. If you get FOMO and fear of missing out from the player for the audience, I think that you do create more people at Strandvallen. So it's work behind the scenes, how we sell tickets and how we communicate our games.
And how big of an advantage or not can it be, either for stadium attendance, but also in terms of, recruiting players and so on and so forth, to not having that much of elite teams nearby? Because as you say, like you have Malmo 1.5 hours away, and so you are quite in a good spot, aren't you, in terms
That's
of position?
of course that's a unique selling point for us also, because we have the closest LA team 1.5 hours away. So we have a big, like what you say, area that we can bring players, and not only bring young players, also educate young players that are coming here for academy training, and also uh, have supporters from that region. So of course it's important and a good thing for us.
And still, Jakob, one of your biggest strengths is to admit that you can always improve and to develop your processes. And in the final stage of 2022, you mentioned that you still have potential for improvement in identifying, for instance, players earlier, to work better strategically to get them into the club in a better time. Is this something you've been feeling that you've been developing and improving, or what are your thoughts on this one?
Yes, of course, we have developed it a lot, and that's not so strange, because that's some kind of thing we work on daily basis, and every time we have more people that are skillful on it, we have a better strategy to work with it, and higher goals. So of course, that's we need to have a better environment today if you compare for 3 or 6 years old, and I think 6 years ago, and I also are kind of sure that we are on that way.
Winning the league, sorry, brings Champions League football next season, but UEFA's requirement pose a challenge. You've admitted that while the second qualifying round might happen at the Strandvallen with some investment, later stages require major upgrades that are difficult given municipal ownership and time constraints. Still, as you say, you're constantly developing the stadium. You saw the need for VIP boxes, improved logistics, despite of the fact that the arena is tightly built and you don't own all the land around it. Could you elaborate on your plans for the stadium and its surroundings, primarily for your youth section, since you've ruled out building a new arena elsewhere?
We are consistently working with our arena. We know we love it. It's a charmy. It's a small, and it's so fantastic. Like 100 meters from the sea, so we love it. Of course, it's limited on it, but with dressing room and capacity and so on. But we're now building a new dressing room for the youth team. We're building a new pitches for the youth team, and I think to be a youth and academy players in Mjällby AIF, you have really good conditions. But we talk with the multiplicity in Sölvesborgs kommun that own the arena that's we need to invest in it, and they know it, but they also have limits. So I think that we are heading better every day with that discussion.
And as we know, clubs with modest budgets often struggle with European calendars. But for instance, your chairman, Magnus Emius, emphasizes a grounded approach over short term glory, as you also do, pointing to new KPIs like a rolling 3-year league position, for example. What practical measures will you take to keep up with next season's calendar, and how have winning the league and the potential rolling 3-year KPI influenced your objectives?
European playoff will be a big success for club next year. It get us a milestone when we know that we can reach. And we see that we have a great possibility to bring in money for the club. We have a great possibility to get experience from our player and educate the players, but we also have a great opportunity to create a fantastic thing for Sölvesborg and Strandvallen and Mjällby to our brand and the Mjällby batch. So we don't need to like do so much things in a different way, because the things we do in this way have taken us from here. But the calendar, I think we'll fix it. We will play more games, but it will be really fun. So I don't see that as that's kind of a bad thing.
And in the Allsvenskan, clubs must be majority controlled by their members due to the 51% rule. What would the main pros and cons of this be, in your view?
Of course, you get a fantastic impact from the supporters. They feel alive. They feel that they can go from the modern football and be the football that we start to love. I think that you get much help and advice from the supportership and the members. I think it's good that we are like have the ground thing about football to play with love still. Of course, the minor thing is that we economically don't have the possibility to bring in ownership and get money in the club, and of course when we will play with other clubs in Europe, that could be a disadvantage. But I think that the good things to be members own club is so much more than the money we can bring in from our owners. So I love this environment.
Do you foresee these in the long term, or do you foresee this to be changed at some point in Sweden?
I think I'm good to. I don't see that we need to change it. I think we're good to work from the conditions that are, and if that change, we will work with that. But today it's the condition that it's a member rule, so we love it and we work from that.
And that's not the only thing, of course, that makes the Allsvenskan stand out among Europe's top leagues. It's currently the only league in UEFA's top 30 to reject VAR. Most clubs in the league oppose the introduction, and you personally share that view, believing that the drawbacks outweigh the benefits. Clubs with modest budgets often look for solutions that aim to theoretically balance the competition. So I wonder what makes you so opposed to VAR.
In my point of view, I don't like VAR. I think that's take out the charm about football to show emotions, to like have the football in a supportive way that you can show emotions and feelings. I think the way VAR now rule with stops and also wrong decisions and discussions about that is not the way I want football to be played. So that's easy.
As we approach the end of our talk, I'd like your thoughts on the fact that in the previous 3 seasons, the Allsvenskan earned just 88% of the UEFA coefficient points. And if we take the points earned by the Danish Superliga and 66% of those earned by Eliteserien from Norway. You claim that although the top clubs in those leagues are a step ahead of Allsvenskans, the average quality of the league is similar in your view. Which measures do you think the Allsvenskan could implement to overtake its Scandinavian competitors?
Wow, big question. I think Swedish FA is better to put. Of course, we need to have a national team that win games. It's kind of crucial because if you don't do that, you don't get a rumor outside Europe. You don't want to. The players don't want to be in a national team, and of course, the money that some kind of campaigns can bring in is crucial. I think that's Sweden. We need to educate player in a better way, get them. Of course out in Europe in the right way and but still have them here if they as long as we can also. So I think it's about the big part of the education, how we develop players, but also how the clubs uh, like put players in the games, and what kind of players you put in the games is the most important thing to get success in the Europe and of course beat the other Scandinavian leagues.
When you mention about Sweden versus Denmark football or Norway football, you see Denmark as being a little bit more technical than Norway, which is a little bit physical. Norway, but that you have played against much of the Danish teams before, and you think that, like for instance, the average lower teams, and you think that you are close to them. Do you feel that this balance has been achieved over the last couple of years, that the level is really balanced between the three countries?
No, I also are honest. I think it's hard to compare them. But what kind of thing we? Of course, I think that Norway and Denmark have like two, three teams that are really strong. Of course, you can say Bodø in Norway, but you can also say like some Copenhagen in front, but other clubs that maybe are in a little other levels than our top teams. But I think if you go for the middle teams and the teams are, I think it's not that kind of difference. So we maybe need to get the last team and the best team in Allsvenskan to be a little better, to be as good as uh, Norway and Denmark. And of course, we need to have them long in Champions League as Copenhagen and Bodø.
This is where you see the main difference in the top 3 and 4 clubs, right, from
Yeah,
each country.
maybe top two, three teams. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And last but not least, would you have any recommendations for a book, series, film, documentary about sports management or football in general?
Oh, you take it on my bed now. I will be really bored. I never read a book. I always listen to podcasts about Swedish football, and I watch football on TV. So my question is no. Sorry.
Which podcasts for Swedish football?
We have three bigs, and I watch on Fotbollsmorgon, Studio Allsvenskan, and Tuttosvenskan. Everybody talk to Allsvenskan, and I try to watch them as much as I can. And every Allsvenskan's games and Superettan game, I love to watch.
Okay. No film, not a single film about football or sports in general that you like?
I watch a little bit with the documentary. I love Arsenal, so I put on the Arsenal Wenger. I don't even know if it was HBO or Netflix, but that was I like that.
Jacob, thanks a lot for the relevant insights you've provided throughout the conversation and for exchanging lots of ideas.
Thank you so much.
For everyone who's watching or listening, you can subscribe Folha Seca on YouTube, or also following Folha Seca on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the remaining audio platforms to watch and keep track on the sports management conversations. Have a great day.